some underlying principle or presupposition that governs realpolitik. So Erdogan is an Islamist. Anyone who studies the policies and politics of Erdogan understands that he is an Islamist. He wants the caliphate to come back. That's why he desecrated the Church of Hagia Sophia.
Armenia, the border is still the same, the country is still the same. Obviously, the culture would be different because the church would not have played a role.
Yes.
But there would still be a conflict.
But all you're doing in your thought experiment is replacing the unifying effect of the church with the unifying effect of something else. And you're heckling me saying I'm calling for a religious war, but yet I've given you 4 opportunities to condemn the Islamists and you haven't.
Yeah, largely they want to be ruled by Armenia, but my postulation is that it's not primarily due to religion.
So the Muslim Armenians in Turkey don't want unity with Armenia, but the Armenian Christians in Azerbaijan do want unity with Armenia. So religion is the principal factor. One of the topics that I want to talk about is the conflict that is going off in Greater Armenia. Put your hand up if you heard about the conflict in Armenia and Azerbaijan. Okay, our Christian brothers and sisters in Greater Armenia are fighting for their land right now. They're fighting against an aggressive Azerbaijan, backed by an imperialist Turkey. Turkey, who is led by President Erdogan, is an imperialist inspired by the Ottoman Caliphate, which means that he is inspired by Islamic imperialism. He wants to re-establish an Ottoman Caliphate. He wants to re-establish an Islamic Caliphate, and Turkey is increasingly pushing its weight around the world and region. It has established itself in Libya. It has established itself in Algeria. It has intervened in the civil war in Syria. It is allied with Islamist terrorists in Syria against the government of Bashar al-Assad, who was defending Christians as well as his own political ambition. And he has now transported some of those Islamist terrorists to Azerbaijan to fight against Christian Armenians, which means that right now jihadis working for the government of Azerbaijan are killing Christians, driving Christians from their homes. They have recently bombed a Christian church that is an UNESCO World Heritage Site. This is the kind of vandalism being carried out by this jihadist regime. Christians, we owe it to our brothers and sisters in Armenia to stand against the aggressions of Azerbaijan and the Turkish government, because they are one in the same. Erdogan is the one encouraging Azerbaijan to follow the path of war. And we Christians, I will, sir, go, sir, sir, you can heckle me, but I'll just shout. We Christians owe it to our brothers and sisters. Yes, you're right, I am. We Christians owe it to our brothers and sisters in the Armenian church to stand against the Azerbaijan. Those brothers and sisters were failed in 1915 when Western Christians on the whole stood by and allowed the Turks to slaughter over 1 million Armenians. We cannot fail them again. We must raise our voice. We must stand up for them. We must stand up for our brothers and sisters in Armenia, which means that all of you, at the very least, must challenge the government not to be neutral and to stand with Armenia against Azerbaijan. The disputed area, if I get the pronunciation correct, is a place called, and I'm probably going to mispronounce it, I can't remember, Nango Karak or Barak or something like that. Aksak. Narango Karaban or Ansak. So legally it was recognized as a part of Azerbaijan. And I say, so what? The fact is, it is ethnically Armenian. And those Armenians want to be united with Armenia. The Western governments bombed Serbia to steal Kosovo. If they can bomb Serbia to steal Kosovo, then they can bomb Azerbaijan to steal Greater Armenia. Ladies and gentlemen, the Armenians do not want to be part of Azerbaijan, and the disputed zone is ethnically Armenian. Then the liberals say, well, this is an ethnic conflict, not a religious conflict. Well, I'm sorry, aren't those same liberals the same ones that use intersectionality to unite issues of transgenderism with issues of racism because they say that these two issues intersect? Are they the only ones that can talk about intersection? Well, the Armenians may be an ethnicity, but they're also a church. So this is an ethno-religious conflict. And they cannot have their cake and eat it. They can't say it's intersectional when it suits us, but it's not intersectional when it doesn't. And I would say to every Russian Christian who hears this, and I'm not under any illusions, obviously Putin will never hear this, but on the off chance that he should, by some miracle, if this should pass his YouTube channel as he's watching it, and maybe to help, JC could entitle it, Message to Putin. It would be this: is the Russian state Orthodox? Is it a defender of Orthodox Christians? Well, right now, Putin and the Russian people, if you don't come to the defense of the Armenian Orthodox Church, then what you have proven is that you are nationalists before Christians. Because a Christian should never place the nation state before the church. And our fight for the church always comes first before the nation state. So if you put the interests of the Russian state before the interests of the Orthodox Church, you have failed in your brotherhood and you have followed in idolatry the nation state. And that is why I rail against the nation state for Christians. Because too many Christians prefer the interests of the nation state over the interests of the church. Right now it is very clear cut. Our solidarity should be to the Armenian Orthodox Church against its enemies. And that means its enemies in Azerbaijan, their Islamist terrorist allies who are now fighting for them, and Turkey, that enemy of the West that is at this moment siding with, allying with, and helping terrorists fight a jihad in the West against Armenia. Ladies and gentlemen, boycott Turkey. Turkey is a rogue state. And I want to be clear. I met lots of Turks from Constantinople who do not like Erdogan. I know that many Turks are against Erdogan. And so my comments should be heard as being against the Turkish state and not necessarily against the Turkish people. So, any questions? Now's your chance. So the question is, I'm a warmonger, I want to lead Christians, militias into war. The fact of the matter is, ladies and gentlemen, I don't remember the likes of him going up to the jihadis who come to this park, the prosecuted ISIS fighters who have been in prison, who come to this park, and those that defend them, and going up to them and saying you're a warmonger. He's never appeared on film saying that. And why? Why is he doing that? Says he's not on film. There we go, he's on film. Why is he doing that? Because Muslims follow a supremacist ideology. What they want to do to you, they complain if you do to them. But let's be clear, I have not called for Christians to go in militias to fight in Armenia. What I have said is that Christians must stand in solidarity with the Armenians. And I said at the very least you should do is bend the ear of your political representative and make it very clear to them that you expect them to speak out in favour of the Armenians in Parliament and to call for the nation state to intervene on the side of Armenia and to bomb the Islamists fighting for Azerbaijan.
Perfect.
If we can bomb the Islamists who are invading Syria, we can bomb the Syrian, we can bomb the Azerbaijani Islamists who are fighting in Azerbaijan, who are transported by that Islamist state, Turkey.
You are a liar.
We should cast NATO out of Turkey. So,
You are a liar.
any other questions?
You are a liar.
Let's do other questions.
You are a liar. Why don't you tell America stop killing millions of Muslims?
So, the question is, why do I not tell America about killing millions of Muslims? The brother doesn't realize that America is a secular state by constitution.
Bullshit.
The Americans do their politics from a liberal, classical perspective.
Trump does
They
not
don't
govern
do
America.
it. They don't do it
Establishment
from a religious
govern America.
perspective.
Bullshit.
But, ladies and gentlemen, Armenians are Orthodox Christians. They are one of the most religious societies in the world. And so any fight involving the Armenian Orthodox Church is a fight of the whole church. And so we Christians must stand with our Armenian Orthodox brothers in their struggle. And that is why it is religious. The liberals can't have it both ways. They can't posit an ideology of intersectionality when it suits their transgender ideology, but then say you can't use our intersectionality when it contradicts their religious pluralist ideology. And that is what the liberals are trying to do. They're trying to have one rule for me now and a different rule for you then. It is also a religious conflict because the Islamists that were transported by the Turkish government to fight for the Azerbaijani government understand their fight in religious terms. They are fighting because of religion. They are killing
They're
Christians
fighting for money.
because of
They are
religion.
fighting and dying for money. They don't care about
So,
religion.
these guys, notice, have had multiple opportunities to condemn the Islamists who have gone to Azerbaijan, but both of them have failed to do so. I wonder why. Maybe when they next speak, they'll condemn the Islamists who are going to Azerbaijan to fight for the Azerbaijani
Now
government.
they're doing it for money.
However, they are mercenaries, they
Destroy
say.
their countries.
Well, ladies and gentlemen,
America destroy-
we have found a legal way,
their countries.
licit and legal, for Christians to go to Armenia and to fight for the Armenian government. The Armenian government simply needs to employ Christian mercenaries.
Bullshit.
And if that is fine for the Islamists to do it,
You're lying.
the liberals can't complain if the Christians do it. But something tells me they will, because for too long we Christians have been allowing everyone else to live by a double standard. They have not followed the rules that they ask us to live by. It's time that Christians live according to their own faith,
Bullshit.
not the hypocrisies and double standards of the liberals and the Islamists and the Muslims. So now let me ask you this question. Do you condemn the Islamists that have gone to Azerbaijan to fight against the Christians? Notice.
Why, mate? I'm asking you to educate me before I give you my answer.
So, he's asked me to educate him.
Yeah, gotcha moment. That's what you want.
So now let me answer him. Brother, bring the camera back. So now let me answer him. Notice, he had the opportunity to condemn Islamists, and he didn't. Bear that in mind. Why were they Islamists? Because they were the Islamist fighters who fought against the government of Bashar al-Assad in the civil war, backed by the Turks. They were allied. The Turkmen who were fighting with the Turks sided with Al-Qaeda.
Bullshit.
They are Islamists. They're going to battle, crying out, Allahu Akbar.
ISIS.
They don't go into battle fighting freedom and liberty for all.
Hey, you're a liar.
They go into battle against Christians because they are employed by an Islamist government. Erdogan is an Islamist.
No, he's
The
rubbish.
Turkish government is an Islamist ideology. So let's give this guy another chance.
Hallelujah.
Because he was, put the camera back on him.
I am son
Because
of
the whole
God.
time he was just talking, he
I
wasn't
am
even
son of God.
listening to the answer. Which just
I
goes
am
again
son
to
of
show
God.
that Muslims in the park ask
Hallelujah.
questions, but
I
they
am
don't
son of
listen to
God.
answers.
I
Now
am
that I have
son of
explained
God.
to you
Hallelujah.
why they are Islamists,
I am
do
son
you
of
condemn
God.
them?
I am son of God. Hallelujah. Look,
Silence.
Jesus is
Okay,
coming.
do you condemn them?
Jesus
Do you
is
condemn them?
coming.
Are they Islamists? What makes you think they're Islamists? Because Turkey said them.
Well, can I just make this easy for you?
No, brother, you talk to him now. So, he asked the question. I gave an answer. He was ignoring the answer. That's his fault. Are there any other questions from anyone else about this topic before I move on to my next one? Go on.
You're kind of framing the Azerbaijani-Armenian conflict as if the basis for the conflict is religious. Do you accept that it's not religious? It's about geography, it's about politics, it's about economy.
No, I accept that there is an intersection between religion and ethnicity in the Karabakh region. Wait 1 second. Those Armenians, the majority of people in the disputed area are Armenian. They wanted, even before the collapse of the Soviet Union, they wanted to be governed by the Armenian part of the Soviet Union.
it's
The
nothing to
only
do with
reason,
religion.
the only reason why it didn't happen, is because of the collapse of the Soviet Union. Those people don't want, why? To be governed by Azerbaijan? Because
Their
they are,
heritage is Armenian.
which is both Orthodox
Yeah, but
and
their
Armenian.
religion has nothing to
You
do with
cannot
it.
separate.
That's like me saying
You
that the
cannot
Iraqi war
separate.
this gentleman
You
pointed
cannot
out,
separate
it's like me saying that
their
the Iraqi
understanding
wars
of
were motivated
themselves.
by Christianity.
Ask any Armenian whether
I'm
you
Armenian.
can, brother. You're a Muslim.
I'm not Muslim.
What are you, an Armenian Christian?
I'm not Christian either.
Okay.
I was raised Christian Orthodox.
So you've
but-
denied your Armenian heritage then?
No, I haven't denied it. I've chosen my own path in terms of
Are
spirituality.
the Armenians Orthodox Christians?
They are, yeah.
Did
They're
they
the first
declare-
ever Christian nation?
Exactly. So here's the thing, bro. When
I don't deny my heritage. I know my history.
when the
but I don't follow
Azerbaijanis
Christianity.
when the Azerbaijanis take over that area, bearing in mind that they're using Islamist mercenaries, you know about that, right?
But what you're doing
Are they
is
using
you're-
Islamist
I
mercenaries?
don't know personally. They may or they may not be.
You seem
What I'm saying to
selective
you is this.
in your knowledge of the
No,
issue.
What I'm saying to you is this: that you're tying the religion into the motivation of the act.
The two things are connected.
No, they're not connected at
Yeah,
all.
they are.
The fact is, there's a small enclave of Armenian people within Azerbaijani territory, and it's caused political conflict. There's nothing religious about it.
Let me ask you this question.
That's the only point I wanted to make.
No, wait 1 second, because you're saying that it's not connected. Islamists from Syria have been employed and transported by the Turkish government to fight with the Azerbaijanis. Those Islamists are fighting a religious war. Why would Islamists from Syria fight with the Azerbaijanis? It's a different country, different government. So it's not about politics. They're a different ethnicity.
Yeah, but what's that got to do with it? At the end of the day, you're saying
It's
two
demonstrating-
Muslim groups are fighting.
No.
and religion has nothing.
The
to do with it.
Armenians
Is
aren't
that
a
your
Muslim
point?
group. They're a Christian group.
No, you said the Syrians and the Azerbaijanis.
So what? You see, you're not even listening.
Sorry, I dozed
No,
off.
what a
Go ahead.
surprise. You're not even listening. So let's try this again.
Go ahead.
The Turkish government,
Yeah.
so a different government,
Yeah.
has employed Islamist mercenaries who sided with Al-Qaeda to fight with the Azerbaijanis against Christian Armenians.
Okay, but what do you think the motivation for that is? Do you think that it's a crusade against Christianity, or do you think that the Turkish have some economic vested interest in doing that?
There's an intersection with economics as well, I wouldn't deny that.
No, but you're trying to make out as if the primary motivation for these conflicts is religious. I'm telling you it's not that.
Erdogan, it is. Because, why do the Armenians feel Armenian? Because of their religious identity. Everything about Armenian culture is connected to the church, true?
Armenian culture is heavily dominated by the church.
Exactly.
Yeah, but it's not solely that.
One second. So the reason why the Armenians feel Armenian is because they have a common cultural language which they express through the church.
There's many different things. There's language, there's food, there's dancing.
Wait 1 second.
There's a lot of facets.
All of those things pass through the filter of the church.
At the end, that may or may not be so. I'm talking about the conflict between Azerbaijan and
Who
Armenia.
standardized?
I'm telling you that the basis of this conflict is not religious.
Who standardized?
That's in debate here.
Yeah, that is in debate, and I'm contesting you're wrong. Because the reason why the Armenians want to be ruled by other Armenians and not by Azerbaijanis is because they have more in common with their Armenian brothers and sisters.
Like
wait. Don't interrupt, otherwise we just get into a shouting match.
You're trying to
Don't get interrupted, we just get into a shouting. No, you're gonna wait. We're gonna wait.
Okay, go ahead.
Or otherwise we just get into a shouting match. So, I am contesting, yes, religion plays a role in this. The ethnic, you're going to interrupt, I'm just going to raise my voice. The way that we conduct a conversation is that we do a talk in which you don't interrupt and in which I don't interrupt. Now I can listen to you, but that means that you have to try and listen to me. That means that you have to be quiet when I'm talking. So I'm going to try and talk, and let's see if the brother can contain himself. So, ethnically, the Armenians want to be ruled by other Armenians because of their culture, because of their religiosity, because of their history, and all of those things, their dance, their language, their religion, their culture, their customs, their traditions, have all been interwoven with the church. You can't separate the two things out. So the ethnic Armenians want to be ruled by other ethnic Armenians because they have more in common with other ethnic Armenians, and they have more in common with other ethnic Armenians because of the Orthodox Church.
Okay, you're saying...
Am I wrong?
Yes, your point is that the primary filter that dictates Armenian culture is religion, or that the reason that this small enclave of Armenian people that don't exist geographically within Armenia, the only reason or the primary reason they want to be ruled by Armenians is because of religion. No, what about language?
Filtered by the church?
No, don't you think that language is a better primary indicator than religion?
No.
Because if you can't talk to someone, don't you think that's...
You're an Armenian speaking English. He's an Egyptian speaking English. This is an Indian speaking English.
Yeah, but you're asking a group of people...
Our cultures are not the same. Well, maybe me and his is.
I understand your point of view, and I respectfully disagree. I think...
Well, I'm proving my point.
You haven't proved it.
Okay.
The primary filter is not religion.
You offered language as an alternative to religion. So let me explain why you're wrong. You're wrong because here we have an Egyptian, an Armenian, an Indian, and an Englishman, and we're all speaking English. But my values and your values are not the same. My culture is not the same as your culture. My beliefs are not the same as your beliefs. We've got language in common, but we disagree on everything else. This brother's a Muslim. He speaks English, but his values ain't my values. His culture ain't my culture. His customs aren't my customs. We don't have any of those things in common. But here's an Indian, but he's a Christian. 1 second, we celebrate the same festivals. We believe in the same God, and we follow the same values. So religion trumps language. What's your other option?
It's not. I don't need another option, because at the end of the day, you could share a religion and still not be united in culture, in point of view.
But the Armenians are.
Yeah, the Armenians are. But
so that's the point.
They're not with the Azerbaijani.
Exactly. Thank you.
Yeah, but it's not.
That's what I'm saying.
It's not because of religion, bro.
Azerbaijanis and Armenians in the disputed area can understand one another.
I'm telling you that economics, politics, language, all of these things
those
play
intersect
a
as well.
bigger role than religion in this conflict.
I'm not denying.
At the end of the day,
Go on, I'll let you speak.
We live in a world where the primary driving factor for every single conflict is economics. And for you to say that it's religion, you're taking an argument archaic view. We don't live in the year 10,000 when it's the Crusades going on, bro. The primary motivation for conflict is never religion.
Can I respond?
It's like me saying, like, I don't know where the guy went, but one of your friends pointed out that it's like me saying that the motivation for the war in Iraq from America and Britain and whoever was motivated primarily by Christian Islam conflict, when we all know it wasn't. It was motivated by oil, by money, by land, by geography.
Can I reply now? So no, let's just deal with that. Because despite saying he didn't need another option apart from language, he actually did offer one. He offered the option of economics. And to be fair, I agree with the observation of Karl Marx. Economics really does influence a lot about politics, and so he's right. I agree with him a lot. However, ladies and gentlemen, consider this. I'm going to prove why he's wrong in this example. Because Azerbaijan is richer than Armenia. So if it was all about economics, the Armenians would want to stay part of Azerbaijan, because Azerbaijan is richer than Armenia. No, wait, I did not interrupt you. Do not interrupt me, otherwise we get into a shouting match. I did not interrupt you. Do not interrupt me. Do not interrupt me. Azerbaijan is massively richer than Armenia, and that is part of the reason why Azerbaijan now is wanting a conflict, because Azerbaijan thinks it can win. It lost the last war between 1988 and 1994. The Azerbaijanis lost 74,000 men to the Armenian 24,000. The Armenians kicked their ass. But then the Azerbaijanis discovered massive oil fields. And Azerbaijan now is richer than Armenia. So if it was about economics, the Armenians in Azerbaijan would want to be part of Azerbaijan, but they don't. So once again, religion is trumping economics, religion is trumping language.
What you're doing is you're making a fallacy of, you're assuming that what the people in the region want is representative of what the governments want. The governments are the one in conflict. It's not because the people are saying, we want to be part of Armenia, and it's the governments that are in conflict.
Are you saying that the people, are you arguing, just for the record, because I know Armenians are going to watch this and call you out, are you saying that Armenians in the disputed area, the average villager, is saying that they want to be ruled by Azerbaijan?
No, I didn't say that.
So what are you saying about the average villager?
No, you said that if it was about economics, then the Armenians would want to be part of Azerbaijan because Azerbaijan is richer. But I'm telling you, regardless of what the Armenians want, we're talking about the governments in conflict here. We're not talking about the desires of the people in. Do the
people want to be ruled by Armenia or Azerbaijan?
I mean, largely Armenia. I think there is some Azerbaijani people in the region as well. It's
I know that.
Homogeneously Armenian.
I know it isn't.
Yeah, largely they want to be ruled by Armenia, but my postulation is that it's not primarily due to religion. I don't think this is a very wild claim. I think it's quite a straightforward claim.
So what is it? So, right, allow me to reply.
I'm saying that
finish your point and then I'll reply.
The culture in Armenia is heavily dominated by the church, but for you to demonstrate it as the primary factor through which all other facets of Armenian culture is filtered through, I think is just a bit narrow-minded.
So let me address that point, because you've offered language and I've dismissed that. You offered economics and I've dismissed that. In the talk that you've just given, you didn't offer a third option. I am still defending the thesis that the Armenians in the disputed area want to be governed by other Armenians because they have more in common with those other Armenians.
That's
One second. And the reason for that is because of the church. There is no area of culture that the Armenians are fighting for that has not been absorbed in Armenian Orthodoxy.
That's fine.
Pew Research has talked about what are some of the most religious countries in the world. Romania, for Christians. Romania is one of the most religious. Armenia is one of the most religious. 98% of Armenians identify as Orthodox Christians. Not just that they identify, but that they actually connect and practice their faith.
Yeah.
So therefore, for them to separate Armenian from religion.
Your argument is so narrow-sighted because.
So what other alternative have you got?
No,
Give me another one.
By your argument, you could take any political act done in Armenia and say that the motivation is ecclesiastical. I'm telling you that's not the case. You could remove. If let's do.
I'm not applying it to everyone. No, that's not true.
One second. Let's do a thought experiment.
Wait.
Here.
Do you mean you don't want to be interrupted?
No, you can interject, but I just want to.
I just want to make sure we're working by the same rules.
The conversation goes with back and forth, but we don't need to let each other talk for 10 minutes without.
I wasn't talking for 10 minutes.
The only point I want to make is this: let's do a thought experiment where everything is the same. Armenia and Azerbaijan are in exactly the same place, and the same conflict is going on.
Okay.
But we remove the church from the history of Armenia.
Okay.
The border is still the same, the country is still the same. Obviously, the culture would be different because the church would not have played a role.
Yes.
But there would still be a conflict. There would still be a conflict because there's Armenian people there.
Okay, can I engage with your thought experiment?
Sure.
Because I think thought experiments are quite elucidating, and it's a good use of a thought experiment. So, going with your thought experiment, the conflict would still be there, you're right. But all you're doing in your thought experiment is replacing the unifying effect of the church with the unifying effect of something else. So so the Armenians would still be united by a culture. But all you're doing, but now in that real example, that's the church. In your thought experiment, we're just saying it's not the church, but therefore it's something else. So that proves the point that the conflict between Azerbaijan and Armenia has an intersection along religious lines. It isn't the only intersection. I've already conceded. I've conceded. No, I actually said that. If you just weren't here when I said it, because you weren't listening to the whole talk. There you go.
Fair enough.
So the fact is, there are other intersections. Okay. Economics is definitely an intersection. Yeah. Absolutely. The Azerbaijanis would not be pushing for a war now, except for the fact that because of their now greater wealth, they have upgraded their military beyond that of Armenia. So you're right. But that proves that it isn't about just economics, because if it was just about economics, the Armenians in Azerbaijan would be in a better position in Azerbaijan than they would be in Armenia.
But the fact is...
But they still want out of a richer country to be united to a poorer country. Yeah. Why? That's my question. Why? No, Please answer that.
It's
I engage with your thought.
Cultural.
Thank you. And what's the dominating factor of the culture of Armenia? Thank you. So I'm right then.
Let's look at the nature of the conflict. You said that the Turkish government has been employing Syrian militia.
They have.
To do whatever.
They have.
Why has Turkey and Russia been getting involved with the conflict? It's
brilliant.
They have a geopolitical interest in the region.
Yes.
It's nothing to do with religion. Why these other countries are getting involved?
Yes, it is.
So no, it's not.
Yes, it is.
When Turkey are employing what you claim to be, I don't know if this is true or not, religious militia to go and fight. That may be true, but that's not the motivation for the Turkish to pay those guys. The motivation for the Turkish to pay those guys is to gain geopolitical power in the region.
So let me engage with that point, because now what you're offering another example. You're talking now about realpolitik, as they use in the study of politics. So we've dismissed your linguistic option, we've dismissed your economic option, but not completely, and now you're offering the idea of realpolitik. But let's understand something. Realpolitik always sits on a bedrock. It always sits on a bedrock. So there's some underlying principle or presupposition that governs realpolitik. So Erdogan is an Islamist. Anyone who studies the policies and politics of Erdogan understands that he is an Islamist. He wants the caliphate to come back. That's why he desecrated the Church of Hagia Sophia. That is why he continues laws that discriminate and persecute against the Patriarch of Constantinople. That is why in his base there are many Islamists who are working within the base of his government. Not all Turks are Islamists. Many Turks are against him. There was a coup, remember? So there's lots of Turks against Erdogan. But why did Erdogan help the Azerbaijanis with Islamists from Syria? Why? Because he speaks their language, he has their ideology, and he wants to see a greater Turkish Ottoman Islamic Empire. He's inspired by the Ottoman Empire. He wants to re-establish the Ottoman Empire, and he wants him to be the man that does it. And what was the Ottoman Empire? an Islamic empire. So Erdogan is thinking religiously. The Armenians are thinking religiously. It's not the only reason, but it is definitely one of the factors. Now, I'll let you reply and then I've got something to say.
A brief point. I think a point where we're going to diverge here is my idea of the whole origin of religion and what it was used for historically, why it originated when it did, and why the Muslim empire exploded when it did right after the creation of the religion. This is because religion has always been used as a primary tool or vehicle for empire to grow and expand. So for Erdogan to lean on his Islamic and on his religious roots on the Ottoman Empire and such, it makes sense because religion has always been used as a tool to expand empire. So I don't think that we can say that religion is the primary driving factor here. The primary driving factor is still power, politics, economy, money. But it's being put through a religious frame because, as I said, religion has always been used as such, as a vehicle for power, as a vehicle for empire.
Okay, let me reply to that. Firstly, firstly, there has been times when politics have driven religion. That's true. But there's also been times when religion has driven politics, and that is also true. So it is very simplistic to simply say religion is a tool of politics, because very often politics is a tool of religion. That is a fact. So it is too simplistic to come out with those characterizations. Now, I want to bring something into this that we haven't yet considered, which is that regardless of any criticisms that you might make, as a disciple of Jesus, I have to follow the example of Jesus. And Jesus has created one church that includes the Armenian people. Jesus commands me that I should love and serve my brothers and sisters. Even the example of washing their feet is the example that I'm thinking of. Now, if my brothers and sisters are being persecuted for any reason, economic, political, or religious, or linguistic, my duty as a Christian is to stand with them in solidarity. My religion motivates my politics. That is what I must do as a Christian. We Christians are commanded to do good to all men. By extension, that includes all women, just to say. But do good to all men, but especially those in the house of faith. Which means that my loyalty, my faith, the Christian faith, my loyalty to the Armenian Christians is greater than my loyalty to the British state. It's greater than my loyalty to an Englishman. And I would argue, and this might frazzle your brain, but I would argue that I have more in common with an Armenian Christian than you do, even though you're Armenian and I'm English.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Do you eat lahmacun?
No.
Do you listen to traditional Armenian music?
No, I don't.
I don't know. So just because you're a Christian, it doesn't.
But I celebrate Christmas, and I celebrate Easter, and I understand what they mean.
Bro, those are basically secular holidays nowadays. Like everyone celebrates Christmas. You don't need to be a believer to do so. It doesn't mean that you've got more in common with someone that lives halfway across the world.
What does an Armenian? You know the patriarch. We both agree that the patriarch. What's the patriarch? No, it's not patriarch. The leader of the Armenian Orthodox Church. What's his name?
I have no idea.
Neither do I. However, would we both agree, even though we can't remember his name, that we would both agree that we can use him as an example of a Christian, right?
For sure.
So let's compare me and you about who is more like him. Okay? Right? He celebrates Christmas and he understands the meaning of Christmas as the birth of Jesus Christ.
But Jesus wasn't born on December 25th.
That's not my point.
According to the scripture,
that is not my. You're getting off the point.
No, I don't.
You're totally missing the point. You're going to miss the point I'm going to make.
I don't reject Christianity for a lack of understanding. I was raised a Christian.
I've
rejected my faith because I understand.
You're missing my point entirely. I'm saying that I have more in common with an Armenian. I have more in common with an Armenian Christian than you do.
You have faith in common with them.
To an Armenian.
I don't agree with
One second. Would you agree with this? That if we got the Patriarch of Armenia here and we asked him what is more important to him, eating the one second. Must I raise my voice with you continuously?
You don't need to.
Please, just learn some manners. Like, if we do a thought experiment with me now, I did yours, you do mine. Imagine we got the Patriarch of Armenia right here, and I asked him this question: Your Holiness, Your Grace, What is more important to you? The celebration of the Easter festival or eating the food that you mentioned? Which is more important to your identity? What would he say?
I don't know.
I would put money on the fact he would say celebrating Easter over eating the food that you mentioned
just
or
dispel
listening
your
to the
argument.
music that you
Let me
mentioned.
just dispel your argument, because faith is something that's fluid. You can be a Christian today and a Muslim tomorrow. Can you change your genetics to become Armenian? No.
1 second.
So how can you have more in common than an Armenian just because you share the faith? It doesn't make sense, bro.
I'm glad you walked into that. So now let's use the example of the Armenians in Turkey who, under the force of arms and persecution, became Muslim. Those Armenians have lost their language, they've lost their heritage, their culture, they've lost their connection to Armenia. They don't even know, some of them, that they're Armenian. Would you agree that those people, because of the change of their religion, are now distant from Armenian culture?
Well, not that distant, because
They don't celebrate Armenian festivals.
Yeah, that's fair enough. But Armenia
They don't celebrate Christmas.
Armenia was part of the Ottoman Empire for a while.
They
right?
don't celebrate
So
anything
that's
that
what
you
I'm saying,
celebrate.
That Armenians and Turkish, that the cuisine is very similar, the culture is very similar. Regardless of religion, when we take religion out of the picture, the culture is still very similar.
So you're arguing that food
So I
is
would-
more important than religious festival?
No, I mean, at the end of the day, they exist on the same plane. They're just a choice of what you want to do or what you want to
I want to present evidence, right? Just for a moment, just interject for one moment. I'm going to ask you one question. If you had the choice between giving up the food of Egypt or giving up the food of Islam, sorry, if you had the choice between giving up the traditional foods of Egypt and eating English food that was halal, or giving up Islam but then eating Egyptian food, which would you choose? And I'm just asking you a very simple question. So what is the answer then?
There's no comparison. You can't compare what food I eat to the religious beliefs.
Thank you. Did you hear that? He doesn't agree with your comparison either, and neither do I. You can't put food as the marker of identity. Identity is so much deeper than food. And he agrees with me.
Identity is something that's fluid. Identity is something fluid, right? You choose your identity. You could decide to be. You could wake up tomorrow and say, "I want to be a woman," right? You could say,
No,
I
you
wanna
can't.
You could. You could go and have some surgery. You could say, "I identify."
But that doesn't make you a woman.
No, but it's your identity.
But it doesn't make you a woman.
This is my point I'm making, is that your identity is fluid. Your
No, it
biology,
isn't.
Your biology is your biology. It's not really fluid. I mean, you can do some plastic surgery to yourself to alter your facade.
Doesn't make you a woman though.
Exactly, but your identity.
So
is
you agree
fluid.
then?
No, but my point is your identity is fluid, and biology trumps that.
So you're talking biology now, right? Biology for me, because that walks down the path of ethno-nationalism. This idea that the bio. No, one second. I'm not saying that you are, bro. I am not saying that you are. Please hear me correctly. What I'm saying is that is the first step along the road of ethno-nationalists. Ethno-nationalists argue that biology is more important than anything else. That biology is the predeterminate figure of identity. You have marshalled exactly that argument to counter my argument about the primacy of the Armenian Orthodox Church. You said you can change your religion, but you can't change your ethnicity. Those were your words, which means that you marshalled an ethno-nationalist argument, even though you're not an ethno-nationalist. Now, my point to you is, bro, as demonstrated by the fact of the Armenians in Turkey, who don't know that they're Armenian, who don't celebrate Armenian culture, that don't speak Armenian, that don't eat Armenian foods, because Armenians eat pork. Armenian Christians eat pork in Armenia, but these Armenians don't, because they're Muslim. Yeah, I know there's Turkish Christians, which proves that religion is greater than food in this question. So in terms of this question, the Armenian people, the thing that makes them, the thing that makes the Armenians in the disputed area want to unite with Greater Armenia, and the Armenians in Turkey who don't argue for a unification with Greater Armenia, is because the Armenians in the disputed area with Azerbaijan are Christians. But the Armenians in Turkey, even though they've got the same ethnicity, are Muslim. So the Muslim Armenians in Turkey don't want unity with Armenia, but the Armenian Christians in Azerbaijan do want unity with Armenia. So religion is the principal factor above ethnicity.
Well, at the end of the day, it's not necessarily, because Turkey is not a religiously homogeneous place, right? Armenia pretty much is, but Turkey isn't.
After they butchered the Armenians,
yeah, and
you know about the Armenian genocide,
of course,
right?
And not just the Armenians, but
The Greek
Syrians,
Christians, the
Greeks,
Syrian Christians, the Greek Christians, yeah, they butchered a lot of people.
Yeah, and that's probably one of the most recent examples that you can bring of a conflict that was primarily religiously motivated. But I'm saying...
No, I'd point to ISIS. That's the most recent example of a religiously inspired conflict.
Yeah, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. That's fair enough. Anyway...
Oh wait, what religion inspired ISIS? Oh yeah, Islam. Sorry, there.
I mean, I'm not here to argue with religion with you. I just came to dispute the fact that religion was the driving factor in the conflict.
And I respect the polite way, for the most part, that you've conducted yourself. But as you can see, I've defended my thesis from 4 critiques. You gave a linguistic critique, I defended it. You gave an economic critique, which has some merit, by the way. I defended it. You gave a food critique, a culinary critique.
It wasn't a culinary critique. It was a cultural critique.
Yeah. And what I addressed that point, that there are some things that are at the heart of a culture, and there are some things that are on the periphery of a culture. And the Armenian Orthodox, the religious identity, I would bet real money with you. Not that I'm really a betting man, but I would put money on you that if me and you went on holiday in Armenia and we did a census and we gave people a choice, give up Armenian food but keep the Armenian religion, or give up the Armenian religion but keep Armenian food, they would side with keeping the religion.
Let me just say this, culturally I'm British, innit? I was born here, my mum's fully English, and I've never even been to Armenia. I can speak a few Armenian words, but I'm not fluent.
I feel sorry for you.
Yeah, I feel sorry for myself, but listen, if we both went to Armenia, I guarantee that I would connect to any random Armenian on the street more than you would, because I speak a few words of the language and you don't. Just because you're a Christian, you wouldn't have any basis to connect with them on.
But I bet if I learn,
you would go and talk about Jesus Christ. No,
one second. But I would be able to go into an Armenian church and celebrate with the Armenians with my full.
Bro. Have you ever been to an Armenian church?
Yes, I have actually.
I was raised in an
I
Armenian
have
church.
actually been to an
I went to
Armenian church.
many
I went to. I think is
Armenian
it in South
services.
Kensington?
Yeah.
I've been to your cathedral. Thank you. So don't rush.
Yeah, but
so
I'm
one
saying,
second,
bro,
bro.
I
Let
can
me
do
finish.
that
Let me
as well.
finish.
I can do that as well.
Here's why you're wrong. Here's why you're wrong. Because when I go into an Armenian church with Armenian Christians, our heart, mind, and soul are the same. They're pointed towards our Lord Jesus Christ. When you go into an Armenian church, you can't point your heart, mind, and soul to Jesus Christ because you don't love your Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. But an Armenian...
But I can have a spiritual...
Here's the other thing. An Armenian would never laugh at that declaration. An Armenian would go, amen.
That's not true.
But the thing is...
Armenian what just laughed at him.
But this is the point. I'm saying that I've got more in common with an Armenian Christian than he does. And most Armenians are Christians.
We've gone our full circle. Nice to
It's
talk
nice.
to you.
Bro, it was really pleasant to talk to you, so I would like to give you a gift. I give out gifts.
Bible?
No,
Okay.
it's really not. It really isn't. So this is a whole bunch of... Because I think you might find this book interesting.
I love reading myself.
It's a book that covers all the kind of things that Jesus never said that Christians say.
Okay.
So I think it'd be interesting because it'll help you to delve into what actually Jesus said as opposed to what you might hear amongst cultural Christians.
All right, I'll take it. I'll mull over it with one of my friends. He likes your stuff, so nice one.
All right, really nice to speak with
talk
you.
to you, man. See you
You
later.
look after yourself. And brother, I hope one day you come back to me and you tell you've recovered your heritage.
I doubt
The
it.
heritage of the Armenian Orthodox Church.
Doubt it. At least you got faith.
Yeah, same faith as your brothers and sisters in Armenia.
Big rap, Abo.
So, had a long talk about the disputed area in Armenia, and I've tried to draw out the challenge that belongs to the Russian Orthodox Church to defend. That's the people, by the way, not the patriarch alone. To defend their Armenian brothers and sisters, and the weight of history that demands that we Christians stand in solidarity with our Armenian brothers and sisters in their fight against the Azerbaijani government and their Islamist allies sent to them by Turkey, that Islamist government, that you should be boycotting because it is a despicable and vile state. Now, ladies and gentlemen, put this guy on camera. This brother was given 3 opportunities to condemn the Islamists who have gone to fight against Armenian Christians. And each time, rather than condemn them, he didn't. So just be aware of who's heckling me. So just be aware. So you're not condemning them.
Can you condemn any Christian?
So you're not. So we agreed you're not condemning them.
But I don't know the ins and outs.
Okay,
mate.
so there we
I
go.
just got your opinion.
So ladies and gentlemen,
actively calling for a
so
religious
ladies
war.
and gentlemen,
And
no,
you know that
I'm
Islamists-
calling for Christian solidarity. You
that's
need
what
to
the
pay
Islamists-
attention.
That's what the Islamists do,
You
mate.
need to pay
That's
attention.
what the Islamists do.
You
It's
need
the
to
same-
pay
it's the
attention.
same- it's the same kind of thinking.
Regardless of what others do, we Christians must stand with the Armenian government.
can't condemn Islamists
And
when
what
they say
what I have
If you're
said,
saying the same thing,
what I have said, bro, what I have said is that Christians should stand with the Armenians against the Azerbaijani government
Okay.
and their Islamist
so
allies.
if someone
I
was-
stand by that
so
statement.
if a Muslim
I
was
haven't
to
said
say-
anything
if a
wrong.
Muslim was to say-
And you're
I'm
heckling me,
not
saying I'm
heckling you.
calling for a religious
I'm not heckling
war,
you.
but yet I've given you 4 opportunities to condemn the Islamists and you haven't. So I find that very strange that you're saying I'm calling for a religious
are,
war,
mate.
but you won't condemn religious fighters. So I find that a bit interesting. Just saying.